Hey y'all, I'm back with a little cattail. I am doing my 28-day, well, originally it was a 28-day hiking update. Originally it was a 30-day challenge is what I said, but then, you know, math makes sense after a while when you go 7 times 4 is 28 and you get to 4 weeks and 28, the end of that 4th week is 28 days. You're like, guess this challenge will be 28 days. So I do plan to go in further about what I'm going to do next, but I am going to continue the challenge. So, but first I'm going to start off with some before and after pictures here. So in that first picture, you can see my waist, my boobs, and my front belly and hips are noticeably smaller, as well as both my arms are more defined. And then the second picture, my top half is smaller and my butt is more defined and much further up. And then the third picture, my waist is noticeably smaller. It fits better in the upper back of my shirt. And my butt is so big, my hips look bigger. So you can tell I gained some, I don't know, weight in my butt, some muscle for sure, but there's a lot more there. Next up, I am going to, in the first original week 1 that I did before I got sick, I did InBody stats. I have the original InBody, so I'll share them now. I don't blame anyone for not watching that video. It's gotten 0 views. It was 2 hours long. So I managed to figure out a better way to film things, but yeah. So I'm gonna start off with, let me find the first one, this one. So in that one, this one was on January 10th. I got 4 days into that challenge, and then I got so incredibly sick that I was sick for like 17 days. I did start working out a little bit, not as intensely, but a little bit 1 week before I started this challenge. So there is technically 5 weeks of work, 5 weeks and 4 days of working out in between these two measurements. Now, granted, InBodies are not perfectly accurate. I did compare it to my scale that is supposed to be similar. Very similar numbers, not exactly perfectly accurate to the same. But I did use the same exact InBody this each time, which I do think also will affect things if you use different InBodies each time. So I use the same one. I'm very lucky because my local supplement place has an InBody machine, and so I can just literally go in there, check my InBody like once a month, and it's free. No, and occasionally I get a supplement. So the first in January, I weighed in at 195.5 pounds. My skeletal muscle mass was 68.3 pounds, and my body fat mass was 73.2 pounds. My according to the InBody test, I needed to lose 36.6 pounds, and my lean body mass was at 122.4 pounds. My BMI was at 30.6, which I'm going to talk about this, but I don't believe in BMIs. They're a stupid statistic. But my percent of my body fat was 37.4%. So that's all the numbers you need to know from that. And when I re-weighed, it was on day 27. I went in there because day 28 is just a rest day, and I was already out doing errands, so I just went in there when I was out doing errands. So I went on day 27, which was March 7th of 26. And my weight went down to 194.1. So from 195.5 to 194.1. So a loss of 1.4 pounds. And on my scale, that was completely different. Skeletal muscle mass, though. Oh, I forgot to say, dry lean mass was 32.8 pounds in the beginning, and now it's 33.5, so a total of, was that 7.7 pounds to my dry lean mass, so almost a pound gained. Is that right? I think that's right. And then body fat mass went from 73.2 down to 70. So I lost 3.2 pounds of fat, which I actually think I lost 3.5 pounds of fat, if I was correct. And then skeletal muscle mass went from 68.3 to 69.4. So that's a 1.1 pound gain in my skeletal muscle mass. BMI went down 0.2, so from 30.6 to 30.4, but again, that's non-essential. Here's where it's really interesting. Percent of body fat went from 37.4 to 36.1, so that's down 1.3%. That's pretty good for 1 month. I lost over 1% of my body fat. That's fantastic. Body fat mass, so it was at 36.6 pounds, and it's down to 33.1, so that's a 3.5 pound body fat mass that I need to lose less of. So I only need to lose 33.1 pounds now of body fat mass, so that's fantastic. And then lean body mass, I went from 122.4 to 124.1, so that's almost a 2 pound gain. That's fantastic. And then my calories went up by like 16, from 1569 to 1585. And whatever SMI is went up by 0.2, 7.9 to 8.1. Yeah, that's, so overall I lost 1.3% body fat and 3.5 pounds of fat, and I gained like 1 pound. What did I say, 1 pound? 2 pounds of lean body mass and 1 pound of skeletal muscle mass. So take that with a grain of salt, because that thing also, how much you've eaten, how much water you've had in your belly, like it all affects it. Your hair, and like how long your hair is. I cut off my hair one time from really long to really short, and I lost a pound of weight, and it affected that in body test. So just saying. So my stats, on average, I was getting steps daily of 12,389, and then average weekly was 83,628. That was in the 4 weeks. And then the total steps for the 4 weeks was 342,066, with a total distance of 152.8 miles. It's pretty good. And then my intensity minutes, now the like recommended intensity minutes is 150 minutes of moderate or 75 minutes of vigorous. And I was averaging daily 47 minutes of moderate and 16 minutes of vigorous. So my average daily total was 80 minutes, which is half of what your weekly average is supposed to be. So in one day, I was getting half of what I needed for the week. So then the highest intensity minutes I got was the last week with 619 intensity minutes. That was 4 times the intensity minutes. And the first week with 609, so I got 10 more minutes the last week, which is because on this week on Sunday, even though it was my rest day, we took my daughter to the park and I walked around. And then the middle weeks I got 517 minutes and 497 minutes. So very close, and I think that's over over 3 times the intensity minutes. My average heart rate resting was 66, and my high was 148. So I want to talk about nutrition for a minute, because in the original challenge I did touch on that I was going to get 20 grams of protein in each meal and 8 grams of fiber. Usually that meant with the amount of fiber I was getting more protein, because there is protein in vegetables and stuff, especially broccoli, which I eat a lot of. And so I was generally getting about 25 grams of protein, if not more. And then I start every day off with a protein coffee with milk in it. So that's usually at least 30 to 35 grams of protein to start off my day. And then I also snack throughout the day, and a lot of the times I try to focus on high fiber, high protein snacks. So like Greek yogurt with honey and some apple, or Greek yogurt and ranch seasoning and some vegetables, or I like those fig bars. Those have like 3 grams of protein and 3 grams of fiber, some nuts, stuff like that. But I didn't track any food the entire time. I have a really hard, I will never track food. I start thinking I need to earn calories, and it's just a big mess. So I don't track my food, and I never will. I only estimate the protein and the fiber, and I tried to get 100 grams of protein per day and 24 grams of fiber, or more of both if possible. But I ate intuitively. If I was hungry, I ate more. If I wasn't hungry, I ate less. So it wasn't, and if I was like craving pasta, I had pasta, but I also had a bunch of vegetables and protein with it. So most meals were primarily meat and vegetables, which were generally whole foods with minimally processed proteins and fibers. So I would have a protein coffee in the morning with protein powder in it, but then I try to avoid like having a protein bar for a snack or something, because it just upsets my stomach when I have that much processed stuff. So I just try to avoid it. And so if you look back at, I videoed a lot of my meals. So sometimes like I'd have pasta with chicken and broccoli and mushrooms, or I'd have a sandwich with a boatload of vegetables on it and some meat and cheese, I get bread that's high fiber, high protein, so it's like 5 grams of protein per slice and 2 grams of fiber per slice. Yeah, so like a lot of like no restriction whatsoever, I should say. And then I tried to follow like basically the 80-20 rule. Everything was in moderation. In my 4th week, there was a day where I literally had 3 sweets in one day, which generally does not happen, but I did it, and it was no big deal. And as much as I want to say I didn't guilt or shame myself, I did. I just tried to deal with those feelings and tried to let them be there and be what they were, and just allowed them to just be. So, but I had dessert when I wanted it, like full fat, full sugar dessert. I bought like regular ice cream. One night I had a cookie, a regular cookie with ice cream on top of it. Not like 2 cookies, just 1 cookie. And that was fantastic. But the thing is I don't do that every night. I just do that occasionally when I really, really want it. I also had fast food occasionally. And honestly, I ate deep fried potatoes about once a week with mayonnaise. Well, fry sauce, but it's got a bunch of mayonnaise in it. And then I didn't have any restrictions on my food whatsoever. I ate candy, I ate ice cream, I ate cookies, I ate the fried potatoes, like literally all of it. But I also tried to get 8 grams of fiber per meal, and tried to get the protein that I needed too. So there were times where I'd have a meal where I didn't have the fiber, but I did have the protein, and I would honestly feel like crap. So I would try to get more fiber in later to try make up for it. And so it was really, I needed the balance, or I just felt sluggish and gross. And there are times where I go to Costco and I share with my daughter, like we'll get the pizza and the hot dog and we'll cut it in half of each one, and I'll have half a pizza and she'll have half a hot dog. Pizza slice, not a whole pizza. And that makes me feel gross after I do that. I need the salad, you know, I need the protein and the fiber, or I just feel gross. I did have my blood work done a week into this restart. My good cholesterol, my HDL, was high. Like, it literally had a little marker that said it was high. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a bad thing. I don't know if I should stop eating so many eggs or something. I don't know what. I'll talk to my doctor in the follow-up, I suppose. And then my vitamin D was high, which I have to thank all the walks that I've been doing and all of the hikes that I've been doing. I have been taking a vitamin D supplement too, but I think those two things combined with the vitamin D supplement really helped, because I am 35, almost 36 years old, and I have never once had my vitamin D come back high before. It's always come back low. I also eat a lot of eggs, which have vitamin D in them. The egg yolk, if you're eating just egg whites, you're not getting the vitamin D from your eggs. So that was really cool, because I live in a place where it's like winters, usually 6 months out of the year, the sun isn't shining. And thankfully the sun was nice enough out. Well, not only that, but like I went out in all sorts of weathers. But I was outside so much that I got high vitamin D levels, and I had to get off my vitamin D supplement. So that's fantastic. Everything else was in a good range where it was supposed to be. Nothing was low. And previously, when I was only eating once a day, I started to have pre-diabetic symptoms. My A1C was starting to get in the pre-diabetic range. I solved that by eating every 2 hours. And thankfully, there was no pre-diabetes this time. In fact, it was much lower, which is fantastic. And I'm really happy about that. I started this thinking I wouldn't mind losing weight, and I even said it in the intro to the challenge video. And I'm working on allowing those feelings to move through me at this point, because just a lot has come up during this challenge that I'll talk about that that made me change my mind. I mean, really, I lost 1 pound according to the InBody. So like, I got to refocus my goals if in 1 month I lost 1 pound of weight, but I lost 3 pounds of fat, or 3.5 pounds of fat even. So, you know, I no longer want to put my focus there, but on the functioning of my body. And I never actually had a weight goal in this. Even when I started the intro video, there was never like, I want to be 150 pounds. It was never like that. And I still don't have one, and I still don't think I'm going to. Even with this, like, lose 33 pounds, if I took 33 pounds away from my body, like, yeah, I'd be, what, like, 160, 170 range. But, like, that's not counting all the muscle that I'm putting on. And, like, you saw my booty. All that muscle's going there. Like, so... and my arms are getting more defined, so there's bound to be more and more changes in the muscle department. And so I can't say I have this goal number in mind, because I don't know what that number is going to look like when I feel my best and look my best. So I'm not going to put a goal number on it. And honestly, what I want to focus on is the function of my body. And because over the last 4 weeks, I saw improvement in how capable my body is. And I cut down the time resting on trails. If you watch my hiking videos, like, in each one, it's a training for me. So at the end, I tell you, like, how well I did compared to the previous time, and each one was cut down in time. And that's because I'm spending less time resting on the trails, because I can breathe easier and I can breathe longer without dying. I ran a mile on the treadmill straight, and then I ran outside 0.64 miles straight. That's fantastic. Like, I've never been able to do that. Even when I was a teenager, I was never able to do that. When I was a kid, I was never able to do that. I've always had asthma, And I've always used it as a reason for why I couldn't do these things. And now I'm using it as something I'm going to heal and I'm going to make better. I'm healing my asthma, which is fantastic. It is harder for me to see all these like new runners run a half marathon in less than 6 months. And I'm putting 4 weeks in and all I can run is 15 minutes on a treadmill or 9 minutes outside. Like, it is hard to see that and compare myself to that, but it's me against me, not me against those other people. So, and it's not even me against me. It's not me against me. It is me helping me pulling me forward, me holding my hand through it and allowing me to move forward in the baby steps that I am going. And one day I'll be able to run 3 miles. And then I'm going to do a 5K and I'm going to feel fantastic about that. And then one day it's going to be a 10K and that's going to be fantastic. But right now, I am where I am and that's okay. And it's fantastic. Especially because I upped my VO2 max. Last year when I got my watch, it was like a while into my running journey. And so my VO2 max started out at like a 34, 33 situation. And during this challenge, it went all the way up to 39, which I started in the bottom 50% and am now in the top 35% for my age. So I'm feeling good because I know a lot of people who are my age who are not out there running 3 times a week or hiking once a week or strength training 3 times a week like I am. So I can say that I do know that I am doing more than most people my age that I know. So that I can say the VO2 max is probably correct. So that's down from up from 34 to 39 since last May, and then I went from a 38 at the beginning of this challenge to a 39 in this challenge, which is great. I also will say I have a lot more energy. I know a lot of people say that, but like if you look in my videos from the first week where I was like probably the be kind to myself, I was so tired and so exhausted. And this last week, I was feeling pretty great. There was like a day where I didn't really want to do anything and I struggled to get steps in, but I still got 9,800 steps in. So a lot more energy than I used to, and I'm getting more exercise than I ever have. I also hiked 3 miles could hike 3 miles and enjoy the day after that. In fact, there was one day I ran in the morning, I did intervals, and then I went on a 3-mile hike, and then I did a bunch of steps. And so actually, I should have put this in here, but my most steps in a day was over 18,000 steps during this challenge. So that's what I did, was I did all of that. I ran, I went on a hike, I went on errands, I cooked dinner, and I got almost 20,000 steps, and I was pretty tired, but feeling pretty good. Also, last year I would hike 3 miles and be dead exhausted after 3 miles, and now I'm like, I did 3 miles, now let's go do like a walk outside or whatever, or like let's cook dinner or whatever. Like I've still been cooking dinner every time I've done a 3-mile challenge or a 3-mile hike. In fact, I did 4 miles this weekend, then I cooked dinner, so feeling pretty good about that. Just noticeable changes in being less tired and more endurance. Basically, I'm able to do the same and more with being less tired. So 4 miles instead of 3 and still be able to continue my day. So my body is pretty much still the same weight. In fact, I measured my weight 2 to 3 times a week during this challenge, just like when I was taking showers and whatever. And it fluctuated consistently down to 189 pounds all the way up to 198 pounds. And there were days where it was like I measured my weight and it would be like 192, and then 2 days later it'd be 197 on the same scale. So there's no way I gained 5 pounds of fat in 2 days. So I just, I'm I'm frustrated with the scale and what it means for the future. But I'm literally in the best shape of my life. I talked about how I've never run a mile before in grade school or teens. Yeah, I always had asthma, and I let it be the reason why I couldn't do something instead of something I could improve. I always saw runners on the side of the road, and I always thought, I really wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. And now I am doing that. I'm just doing it a lot slower and a lot, like, it's taking me a lot longer to get further, which is fine. But I've been thinking about the scale and how it's an outdated mode of health measurement, just like BMI, because BMI just tells you, it's just an equation of your height versus your weight. It's one of them divided by the other one. It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. It is not a health measurement. It's just an equation that you can do that means absolutely nothing. And so I've been thinking about how the only real data that the scale is actually giving me is gravity's effect on my mass. That's it. If I go to another planet that has not as intense gravity, I weigh less, right? And will I suddenly be like, yes, I am now 150 pounds. I feel better about my body. I feel better about how it looks. I feel better about how it feels and how capable it is. No, because it's still going to be the same capable level that it was before. It just now weighs differently because the gravity's effect on it is different. So what does that matter? What does it matter that gravity is affecting my mass? What does that mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? I feel like Jennifer Lawrence trying to eat hot wings. But I don't think that changing my weight will actually make me feel better. So I think the next time I get on the scale and my weight has not changed or even adjusted a little bit, I'm just gonna remind myself that gravity hasn't changed. And it probably means nothing other than gravity thinks my water weight is heavier, or I don't know, my hormones made me heavier that day. Maybe my energy I don't know. Maybe my electricity is heavier that day. Maybe that's it. Maybe my brain is so active that day that the electricity in my brain weighs more that day. I don't know. And I don't want to be obsessed with the scale. That's where I'm at. I don't want to be thinking about gravity's effects on my mass. I don't. What is the point behind that? So this has just been something that's just been on my mind a lot, especially because I see a lot of weight loss videos right now, and I am currently not focused on weight loss in any way, shape, or form. So it's like hard to find fitness videos that you want to watch, especially when I talk about other stuff that I don't really resonate with as a person. It's hard to watch fitness videos right now. I should just say that. I am not in the same mindset those people are, any of those people, unfortunately. I feel a little bit alone in where I'm at right now. So let's go on to something a little happier. I did take progress pictures for myself that are more exposed than the pictures that I put up here. They are of my full body, basically, and they show significant difference in the short amount of time, in that 4 weeks. My fat is definitely shrinking, and my body looks smaller and more toned all over overall. I also had to buy smaller leggings because mine were completely falling off. And the ones that I bought were pretty like suctioned in, and now they're starting to fall off too. So I am hoping that I can make it 3 more weeks before I have to buy new leggings, but it's looking like I'm gonna have to buy new leggings again. So since I want to focus on how capable my body is. I also want to focus on the good things that I've been doing. And I am proud of the consistency that I have been putting in. I have been doing the same things over the same things every week, and changing it up here and there to adjust my workouts for what I need. But I am staying very consistent. 4 weeks is a long time to stay on a challenge, and that I'm feeling fantastic about it. So I'm also really feeling very proud of the compassion I gave myself during all of it, because I see a lot of people, a lot of videos right now about weight loss right now, and I watched quite a few of them on YouTube, and I feel bad. I feel so sad, and I spend a lot of time in those videos just meditating on those feelings, because so many times people are calling themselves lazy or unmotivated, or just like that they're lacking discipline, and it's just these mean, hurtful things that I used to say to myself all the time. And it hurts, because I would love to hold their hand and let them know that they're not lazy, they're just lacking energy. It's true. Into their cellular, when they look at it, people who are lazy are lacking energy in their cells, into their cells. So you're not lazy, you're not unmotivated, you're not undisciplined, you're just on your own journey. And I would love to hold your hand and tell you all of that. And it just breaks my heart a little bit, because I was there, and I just want to scream it out to the world. Like, I can hold your hand, I can be compassionate to you. You can also do it to yourself. It's amazing what a little compassion will do. So I thought I would talk a little bit about the thoughts that go through my head as I'm doing hard things, because I've seen a lot of these, like, what I'm thinking when I'm working out videos. And so often it's like either funny or like push, push, push or whatever. And it's not at all what I'm thinking when I'm in a workout, especially because sometimes my workouts are intense walks or hikes. And so, like, you're going up this intense, steep trail, and, like, you can very easily, like, say, just, like, push, 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 just keep going up. But instead, I am speaking love and compassion and care into the parts of myself that are aching and painful. So recently I've been talking a lot about my right calf has been hurting in all of my hikes and in all of my exercises. And instead of, telling my calf that it's weak or it's not doing what I want it to do, or whatever hurtful thing that I would used to tell myself, I am saying to it, I love you. I value you. I care about you. I'm sorry you're hurting. I am here for you. I love you at the end of the day, and I will accept you for what you are and who you are. And all the nice things that people have trouble saying to themselves, and I say it to my calf. And that's why I have a hard time watching those videos, is because I want to say it to those people. Although I know personally it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if I said it, because they're only going to believe it when they believe it. So experience is a teacher. They are learning the lessons they need to, and I will continue to send them love, because it is hard to sit in that place where you're shaming yourself into doing something, because shame does not help. So I was devoted to myself in a way that didn't require me to call myself negative things. If you need another video on this, I highly recommend the video by Rituals by Michaela. She does a video on devotion versus discipline, which is where I first got the idea for this, but it aligned with my values. I've always struggled with the idea of discipline. Back when I was in therapy in the beginning in 2019 through like 2021. I was learning my version of gentle parenting. And if you need some gentle parenting advice, I highly recommend Visible Child by Robin. I think her name is Enzig. But my version of gentle parenting, and that never required discipline. In fact, I had struggled with the word discipline even back then. So when I stumbled across the video by Michaela, I resonated with it deeply, and it sang to me, and I was searching for it all over the internet going, is anyone else doing this? Is anyone else devoting themselves to strength training? And everyone was just disciplining themselves. Still is. So I valued myself and I cared for my body, but I didn't do it without a ton of foundational work in the years beforehand. So that was a lot of compassion work for myself, a lot of nutritional foundation. I didn't just jump into 8 grams of fiber in a meal. I have been eating high fiber meals since 2022, if not before then. I've always really loved vegetables. I love it so much. I have a tattoo of vegetables. I've always eaten more vegetables than pretty much anyone I've ever met. I eat a lot of random weird vegetables, and I eat more vegetables on my plate than anything else. When I am an emotional eater, I eat vegetables because it makes my stomach feel better from the stress, or fruit. A lot of the times it's fruit. But I don't generally go for like chips and fries and a hamburger. That's my after hiking meal when I've done a lot of work, not my I'm stressed out meal. There was also a lot of years where I did a lot of therapy without therapy, and the foundational work I did of compassion to myself, it would have made the strength training journey, the running journey, the hiking journey, it would have made it all almost, it would have made it impossible. Even last year I was trying to stay on it and I was just falling off and falling off and falling off. And this year I was like, whoa, it just flows. Weird. But I want to talk about how I had zero focus on discipline because of the, well, it's just, words have power. And so this is one of those things where it's like a tweak of a word and people are going to be like saying like, you know, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that deep or whatever, but I believe it is. And to me, I resonate more with the idea of being devoted than being disciplined. And I want to talk about why. Because the definition of discipline, this is straight out of the dictionary, is the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior with punishment or undesired consequences for failing to comply. And that's why I don't like the word discipline, because I don't punish myself for not complying, and I am not looking to obey rules. I'm not looking to like force myself into this routine that I hate, but I have to obey because it's just the rules and I have to follow them or I'll be punished. And that was the thing. I literally never punished my daughter. Never. And she follows more rules than anyone. She is a rule follower to her core, and I've never punished her. I've never put her in timeout. I've never spanked her. There's something to it, I'm just saying. But the definition of devoted, very loving or loyal. And I want to be, this is my goal. I want to be so loving and loyal to myself that I can't help but go work out because it feels good to do it. It feels great to do it. I'm not forced into it because I'm going to be punished or there's going to be undesired consequences if I don't do it. It's because I love myself and I want to give myself everything. Everything. And I want to be so loyal to myself that I can feel the things my body needs to be at its best and I just give it to it. That's what I want to do. I just want to give it everything. It's just like with intuitive eating, which is what I do. It's not about eating or doing whatever I want. I don't eat just pizza and hot dogs all the time and chicken wings all the time because that's what I want. I eat vegetables because when I eat just meat or just pizza, I feel like crap. And I know I feel better when I eat vegetables. So I do what my body needs me to do, and I give it what it needs to feel its best. And that includes exercise and movement. It's about actively listening to my body and doing and eating the things that make it feel best. That's all there is to it. Like, I have a relationship with my body that's very different than a lot of people's because I have conversations with it. I talk to it. I give it so much love. It's a part of me, yes, but it's almost like just a piece of me that I extract myself from and see as another entity and like give it all the love in the world. And that's probably pretty weird to a lot of people, but that's okay. And I will say it wasn't always easy. For the first few weeks, I was really focused on weight loss, and my weight just kept fluctuating from all over the place, from down to up, from down to up to down to up. And what first helped was I saw a video of this woman who was 200 pounds, but she was fit, just incredibly fit, like abs, like just looked like she worked out like a lot. So there was part of me that was like, I'm starting to realize that I can be a higher weight and still be fit and capable. That's what I'm focused on here, right? Being capable. I can still run and still be a higher weight. I can still climb mountains and be a higher weight. I can still go 10 miles on the trails and be a higher weight. None of that actually matters. A few days later, though, I had been sort of jumping into the waters with Nikki Gets Fit's videos. But then she had a recomping video, and she did comparisons of her pictures of 180 pounds from just weight loss and 188 pounds with strength training. And there was a significant difference. Like, she was much smaller in the strength training at 188 pounds than she was at 180 pounds from just tracking her calories and stuff. And so that really helped me refocus a bit. And I started thinking about the idea of like completely recomping my body without losing much weight, because I just sort of loved the idea of someone coming up to me and being like, Ariel, you look incredible. How much weight do you lose? And me being like 1 pound, and then being like, come on, no, tell me how much you really lost. And me being like, no, really 1 pound. Like, it's just gonna make people irritated and crazy, right? Like, because everybody's so focused on weight loss. So there's part of me that just wants to do that. That's just gonna make people crazy and make them irritated because they're so focused on weight loss. On gravity's effects on your mass. That's what they're focused on. Now, there's something that I talk about a lot, and as always, somatic meditation was my best friend in this. I was out walking, I'd be doing somatic meditation. I'm exercising, I'm doing somatic meditation. I'm strength training, I'm doing somatic meditation. I'm hiking, I'm doing somatic meditation. I'm trying to sleep, I'm doing somatic meditation. I'm irritated at anyone in my life, I'm doing somatic meditation. Somatic meditation is my best friend. I do it all day long, every day. And focusing on the aches and pains as they came up and sitting in the discomfort of my feelings, like, it really helped change the game, because there were so many lower emotions that came up about my weight loss and all this stuff that, like, I was scared to eat too many sweets because I thought it was making me fat or whatever, or just so many things. And I just allowed myself to just feel the lower emotions, including not loving my body. I know a lot of us try to fight against that and just say, like, I'm trying not to, but, like, sometimes I just let myself. I didn't spiral in it. It was just like, oh man, my belly is not my favorite, but you know what my belly does for me? Allows me to eat some potatoes 3 times every week, fried potatoes. And so I'm gonna thank her because those fried potatoes are delicious. I ended up just honoring and welcoming all the pains and discomfort because they have all taught me many things, including how to be consistent without looking down on myself. Because I see that, you know, people will get, you know, 3 really good days in a week or whatever, and they'll feel really great about it, and then they'll have a week where it's just like they don't have any days. And that was me last year. And I think this is where we struggle in our journeys, because we want to be further ahead than we are. And maybe we're just learning to be kind to ourselves in those moments before we get to a place where we need to be, right? Because, like, I just think about, like, if I was in these situations at the beginning of my journey through therapy and learning somatic meditation, they would have dropped me like a brick. I would have been drowning in the ocean, and now I can handle them. So I'm loving this workout program. I just want to continue to see what my body is capable of. I want to see how far I can run or how far I can hike with training. I want to see how much weight I can lift next year. Even in this year. I want to be able to do a handstand. I really want to be able to do a pull-up this year. Eventually, I'd like to do a muscle-up. I want to be able to pick my growing daughter up. She enjoys being picked up still, even though she's almost 8 years old. And I just picked her up and put her in a cart the other day. So I'm feeling really good about that. I played soccer in kindergarten, and it's a sport that I've always kind of had a small flame for in my heart, and I'd like to get back into that without my lungs overexerting themselves, which I'm getting to a place where I might be able to soon. In fact, I told my husband I want to get a soccer ball so that I can go play soccer while him and my daughter are playing basketball. I want to run 3 miles, walk even. And one day I'd like to do a marathon or a half marathon or 5K or 10K or all of them. I'd love to do all of them. And I want to be able to trail run. And I want to hike really, really long hikes. I want to do hikes that I've never been able to do before because they were too they were too hard. They were just impossible for me to do because they were too hard. I want to do the splits. And I stretch every day so that I get a little closer. And I know I can do all these things once I build a solid foundation and work on the basics first. So I've got to be able to run 1 mile before I can run 3 miles, right? And I've got to be able to hike 5 miles before I can hike 10 miles. And I've got all the basics. So what's next for me? Consistency. We're just going to keep going. I am going to keep going with my training with one tweak. For week 5 to 8, I will be doing 10,000 steps on strength training days, which is 3 days a week, and 15,000 steps on cardio days, which is 3 days a week. So the goal is to keep upping my steps so I feel comfortable hiking 10 miles in one day. I will also be upping the distances on my training hikes. So basically it's the same training plans, same strength workouts, same cardio training, just movement forward. That's all we're going to work on, is just keep moving it forward. I want to be able to run a mile straight. That would be a very big goal to meet in week 4 through 8. So I would love to do that. We'll see what happens. I would love to just keep upping my weights and see where I get. I have almost met I've met all of my goals except for the 3-mile run. So I am feeling fantastic. I need to come up with some new goals for weights and stuff. And yeah, so I know this was a long one, but I had a lot to say because I learned a lot over the last 4 weeks. I learned most honestly, the biggest lesson I learned was like, if you are consistent and you take the time to take the right measurements, pictures preferably, you're gonna see a difference. Like, don't focus on gravity's effects on your mass, just focus on consistency, because really my body became way more capable of so many things in the 4 weeks. So I'm really excited to see where the next 4 weeks take me. I don't know exactly what's on the docket for hikes or anything. I am just ready to keep moving forward. So that being said, I will see you in the next one. And as always, just a reminder to be kind to yourself, because shaming yourself is not going to get you where you want to go. So maybe try some compassion. I'll be compassionate to you if you need it. I'm here. And if you need some compassion, just comment. I'll give it to you. Either way, be kind to yourself, okay?